news, but we hope you're enjoying live coverage on the NPL Victoria Facebook page and YouTube channel. And we resume NPL Victoria men's action with South Melbourne against Port Melbourne in what is proving to be a difficult season to get completed, but 3 vital points nonetheless. Teo Pellizzeri is my name. Joining me in commentary tonight is Chris Gleeson. Chris, great to have you back on the mic and great to have football back on the field.
Yeah, it's great to be back here, Teo, at Lakeside Stadium. Of course, we wish that the fans could be in attendance tonight. Hopefully those further restrictions ease next week and we can have the fans back at the football. But it's great to have you alongside us tonight for a little bit of a local derby. 2 grounds that are very close to each other, only a few kilometres that really separate Lakeside Stadium and JL Murphy Reserve.
And perhaps that's what makes it so amazing that Port Melbourne don't have a great record here at Lakeside Stadium, nor does South Melbourne over at JL Murphy. So with no fans in the house tonight, do you think that'll be a factor here? Or do you think the biggest consideration maybe is that these teams haven't been able to train until earlier in the week?
That's it. Both sides have just had the 3 training sessions. You thought maybe the 3 weeks might have given players an opportunity to get over a few injuries. Harrison Sawyer is one that still hasn't been able to come up for tonight, but I'm looking forward to an excellent game between 2 sides that are in pretty good positions. It's a very tight league this year. And Port Melbourne, who are undefeated in their last 5 games, they're probably one of the sides that wouldn't have liked this 3-week break. South Melbourne, a couple of results where they last game out, a pretty pulsating 1-1 draw against the Bentley Greens. But they've stuttered a little bit the last couple of weeks after really flying early in the season. So it'd be great to see what both sides can do today.
Let's go to the teams lining up for tonight's match. South Melbourne with Pierce Clark in goal. Number 2, Lirim Elmazi. 3, Perry Lambropoulos. 4, Luke Adams. 8, Luke Pavlou. 11, Brad Norton. 13, Henry Hoare. 15, Marco Yankovic. 20, Zach Bates. 22 is Daniel Clark. And 23, Josh Baresi. And as the teams change ends, Port Melbourne in their away white kit tonight. Andrew Withers is their goalkeeper. 2, Emlyn Wellsmore. 3, Aaron Reardon. 4, Michael Eager. 6 is Daniel Edwards. 7, Chris Duggan. 9, Omar Amachi. 10, George Mells. 14, JCP, Jackson Courtney Perkins. 15, Christian Bombachi. And 21, Ross Archibald. Tonight's referee is Johnny Barrero, and we will get to the benches after we kick this one off. NPL football is back underway. It's behind closed doors, but we're back playing and hoping no more interruptions between now and the end of the season. And it's South Melbourne attacking the right of your screens and looking for the perfect start as Withers warms up his hands in goal for Port Melbourne. Benches for both teams. South Melbourne, Angelo Rigiojanis, Freddie Say, Matt Lutrakis, Sasha Murphy and Jerry Salados. And for Port Melbourne on the bench tonight, Evan Marco Yanakis, Matthew Ntumanopoulos. So we just wait with play here. Chris Kiusis, Lathan Dunn and John Quoll. Chris, I know we've kicked off, but who's going to win and why? As we see the first shot at anger is held onto by Withers here.
Yeah, great start by South Melbourne on the attack a couple of times in the opening minutes. Well, this is a game where South Melbourne want to put themselves back into that contention to win a title. They can really jump up to that top echelon of the ladder with a win tonight. Port Melbourne have been in great form and, you know, defensively, that's a pretty heavy challenge early.
Late contact and a yellow card straight out of the pocket. So South Melbourne are going to have to just behave here. Certainly exception taken to Perry Lambropoulos felling Emlyn Wellsmore there. Maybe an early tester there, Chris. Just to set a physical example, maybe we put it down to scrappiness of the first game in 3 weeks.
Yeah, the former Sharks got a bit of bite on that one, did Perry Lambropoulos. Really unneeded challenge early in the game, but just going back to what you said earlier, I think South Melbourne, this is a game that they probably should win with this record that they've got at Lakeside Stadium, but Port are going to be no pushovers tonight.
And of course, we're hoping for a big online audience as well. If you're on Facebook, leave a comment. We'll address some of them or any questions you might have through the course of the night, with everyone, of course, trapped, unable to watch, even though you can head out and get out and about, and Lakeside is an open-air venue. Of course, the very studious Lakeside Stadium management making sure that only authorised persons can come into the venue tonight, and QR codes and sign-in sheets, and yeah, as they say, Chris, everything was done the legal way to be done.
Yeah, it was very professional to set up to get into the venue tonight. And, you know, as we said, hopefully next weekend we can get some fans back at the football, but these are the restrictions we have this week, and it's great to have a big online audience this weekend.
This is Pierce Clark, the goalkeeper for South Melbourne, and Lirim Elmazi, We were actually speaking pre-game about the formation, Chris. It looks as though El Mazi has returned to more familiar surrounds of centre-back, even though South had been using him as a defensive midfield. So we'll see how that evolves. Here's Adams, who's playing on the right tonight, into the middle for Baresi, who scored just 15 minutes into his South Melbourne debut here at Lakeside against Hume City. And you can really hear the eeriness. No Clarendon corner tonight, Chris. We might have to do the singing for them.
We've got the effects mic out in the corner of us, but it's just picking up here at the moment.
On a very still night as well. It can get quite windy here at Lakeside Stadium, but not the case tonight. Ball out to the left, and Zach Bates is going to swing onto his right foot and deliver across. Clark was the man waiting, and now at the fall of the ball, it's going to bounce around. Henry Hoare in the golden boots. He goes back to Adams. And now Henry Hoare in the pocket. He's going to try and find the right pass here, and he managed to catch his man Clark a little flat-footed. Clark steers it back to Hoare. South Melbourne happy to retain the ball, and they'll switch flanks eventually with El Mazi, who, as we said, looks as though he's playing at centre-back tonight. Marshall keeps it moving, and it's going to break through the left here. Neat touch, and the referee does see contact and pays the free kick in the end. A mid-ranger, and this one could be dangerous.
It's a great opportunity here for South Melbourne. It does look like El Mazi and Yankovic are the two centre-backs, and it is Perry Lambropoulos with that yellow card early is playing a bit more central in the midfield. They've sort of rotated those three in that defensive midfield spot a little bit this year, but Perry, I must admit, we're a bit more surprised that he's the one filling that spot with Norton and Adams as left back and right back.
So plenty of height in both teams, and you can see how tightly clustered all of the players are as they converge on the penalty spot here. Teasing ball. Clark actually lost his feet there. El Mazi it was who lost his feet in the pack of players. So the ball runs out and will remain a South Melbourne throw. Port Melbourne get to really enjoy any time on the ball in this game.
Port looking to be quite resilient with a back five that they've been playing in the last couple of weeks, which has given them a pretty decent defensive record as well in the last 4 games, only conceding the 1 goal. And that includes the 1-0 win over Manningham in the Cup.
Not pressing with the greatest intent, but now just tempted into having a little sniff at the ball was Omar Amachi, and then El Mazi comfortably enough steers it away. Now he's just waving players to make a run for him. Edwards will get under that header. Steers it central though. Baresi could control off the chest and couldn't shrug the attentions of the backtracking Ross Archibald, who, regardless of what colour outfit he wears, whether it was the green of Bentley or the blue of Avondale, has always been up for the rivalry with South Melbourne over the journey, and his time in Victorian football, safe to say. I think he'll relish the chance to come back here to Lakeside.
Oh, definitely will. It's a great venue to play football here too, is Lakeside Stadium.
Of course, if you are wondering about the smattering of fans in the crowd, I think 1 support person per player, Chris, allowed in tonight.
Yeah, I believe that's the rules too, and we've got a few of the juniors on ball boy duties as well.
So numbers of barely 50 other than the participants on the pitch. If you were to do the manual head count, which I know is a big favourite of some South Melbourne supporters.
It'll be one of the few times that we'd see it. Mike listening through to the stream, usually at games home and away, so shout out to Mike and his manual head counter.
South Melbourne are just owning possession at the moment. So Adam Pittock, as we know, is a very mature, astute sort of tactician, Chris. This seems like a bit of a classic away game setup just to contain, and hopefully it won't be contained for 90 minutes. It'll be contain and then build into the game.
Well, that's sort of the way he set up at Dandenong City in their last game, where they set up with the back 5. The full-backs will charge forward like Bates is now.
How's the pace of Bates able to run down what initially looked like a bit of a hopeful ball? And South Melbourne looking for a little bonus. As Henry Hoare wheels back.
As you can see, Port get numbers behind the ball quite quickly.
That line of white shirts, that is the 5-man defence. Now with midfielders tucking back in to help out as South Melbourne probe through the left. And trapped offside is Marshall. So the defender unable to get his run right there, and the Port Melbourne defence prevails on this occasion.
And as they set up with Dandenong City with that back 5, the wing backs will get forward and help out when they can. Duggan always that focal point in attack for this team. And Manchee as well will get pretty close to him at times as well, with Courtney Perkins adding a little bit of width out wide as well. So once they get the ball and create turnovers in midfield, they will try to transition pretty quickly, Port Melbourne. But until those moments happen, they're quite happy to sit behind the ball.
And now Clark has stolen a march here on the end of Hawes' pass. He's through one-on-one, springing the back line. Daniel Clark! Oh, he's missed it! He hooks it wide. And Withers with a roar of triumph after surviving a one-on-one.
Yeah, Adam Pittock will be very disappointed with that, with the numbers that they got behind the ball. Just a simple ball over the top has been able to get Clark in one-on-one. Probably had too much time to think about it, but still, you would have thought the net was going to be bulging. What an opportunity for South Melbourne. Maybe you can add that to the rustiness of not playing for quite a few weeks.
I think, on 2 counts, both the defending and the finish. Dear, oh dear, what an opportunity. We had the perfect view of it as well with our camera angle on this side of the ground. It would have been a delayed reaction and total shock for everyone over on the other side of the ground, wondering why the net wasn't rippling when he fired that shot. Anyway, a big let-off for Port Melbourne early in this one.
So they've created a couple of nice little openings and opportunities, South Melbourne. Now, Port Melbourne, once they're out of position, they've been happy to foul, but 3 times the ball's gone over the back and almost caught them out.
So now things calm down a little bit to reset. The centre of defence is ridden, plays it to the former South captain, Michael Eager. Won a number of trophies in his time here at Lakeside Stadium. I was saying to Demir in the last time I saw Port Melbourne against Dandy City, he's almost the forgotten man, Michael Eager. He's gone to safe to say, a lower profile team, which isn't the busiest on social media and doesn't have the biggest fan base, but he's still just chugging away,
He's sitting to these early to mid-30s now, Michael Eager, the Kiwi, and he's just been such a fantastic servant of football, especially here in Victoria, for such a long time. And he's really been able to, keep Port Melbourne in the league with how well he is defensively and how well he organises the team. A couple of times they've gone up and down, Port Melbourne, and since he's been there, they've been at least solid, maybe not making finals, but staying in this league.
Of course, their ambitions this year will very much be to make finals. And before lockdown, Chris, things were just starting to shake up a little bit again. Just maybe when people thought that the pecking order in the league had been established, we started to get a few results again that opened the table back up a little bit. And that's why lockdown coming when it did was such a frustration, because we just had Eastern Lions go to Knights Stadium and knock off Melbourne Knights. And that really threw the cat amongst the pigeons. I think Hume had a win away at Oakley as well. So we were really starting to get into that midwinter grind where you couldn't take anything for granted.
Oh, of course, and you just look at the ladder now. Avondale on 26 points and Port Melbourne on 20, so that's 6 on 19. So, on the live ladder now it's 20. But that's 8 teams with only, 7 points difference in between them at this stage of the year. South Melbourne tonight can go back to that 26 points and sort of join Avondale at the top.
So I'm thinking Thunder with that amazing win away at Green Gully as well. They were still hoping to revive a push for the top 6 as we see a nice ball here. Marshall had to be sharp to keep the ball away from Jackson. Courtney Perkins and just cool things down at the centre of defence. It's an ambitious pass, but Clark is going to make it work.
You've seen Baresi really drop deeper. Not playing as a traditional number 9 in this lineup is Baresi. Really dropping deep, trying to pick up the ball in the gaps in that midfield spot.
Well, they're a very different team when Harry Sawyer plays, aren't they? Baresi is definitely not a like for like in terms of he may be tall, but he's definitely not a target man in the way Sawyer very much is.
So Sawyer with, I think it was a toe injury he sustained. It might have been in the cup game against the Melbourne Knights, so hopefully he's not too far away, because he started the season in excellent form and really was that talisman that the Melbourne Knights have been, South Melbourne have been crying out for a while. He's only got the 4 goals so far this year, but just his hold-up play and bringing others into the game.
South continue to dominate possession here. 12 minutes in at Lakeside Stadium, having had the best chance of the game as well. If you've only recently joined us, either on YouTube or Facebook, Daniel Clark, one-on-one against the goalkeeper and hooking the shot. Interesting, I saw Marcus Schroen, he was doing a warm-up and I think effectively, not so much a fitness test because there was no one watching. It was really more just, I suppose, rehab work, Chris, because he's not in the squad tonight.
Yeah, I thought he would be in the squad. He's one of the ones that have dropped out from, he was on the bench 3 weeks ago in their last game against the Bentley Greens.
Here's a giveaway, and so now the shot. Oh, Archie's got that all wrong. He looks at the turf, but maybe his right boot was the culprit there as he sliced that one absolutely nowhere near the penalty area, never mind the target.
Yeah, definitely his boot then. I've walked across this pitch. It is in pristine condition, so there's no way he can be looking at the pitch and saying that affected that shot. But as we said, a bit of rustiness early in this game that sort of got to be expected.
Yeah, and you hope that from an injury management point of view... Oh, I thought that was a mishit header. Maybe one of the reasons we're not seeing Schroen is that coming back after, potentially 2 weeks of no training, maybe some players are in the red. It's just unwise to thrust themselves into the full intensity of a game straight away.
Yeah, that could possibly be the case. And look at Port Melbourne, the last 4 or 5 games, they've pretty much kept the same starting lineup. So there's a bit of resilience in that side. And why not with the run that they've been having?
Again, no real intent to press from Port Melbourne. They're barely at the edge of the attacking third when they start chasing the ball. That long, hopeful pass is brought down initially by the South Melbourne man, Lambropoulos, but taken away by Port. Duggan tried to glance it on without success. Eager is there. Now Michael Eager playing it to Amachi. And now Duggan. And he chips it through. That's clever. Oh, but not clever enough because the flag is up. And Courtney Perkins might have thought he was through. And really the first time we've called Chris Duggan's name with any real intent or meaning, Chris. But as we know, he is a lethal finisher and a very industrious player.
Yeah, 6 goals so far this season for him, and 3 of Courtney Perkins' 4 goals have been set up by Duggan, so he's really been a huge part of Port Melbourne in an attacking sense so far this year. But that offside call, gee, it was close. He timed his run pretty well, but the linesman was in the perfect position to see that.
I'll just get you to look back at that on the stream, Chris. You be the ref while we wait for Port Melbourne to take this throw. Reardon's header out to the right. Now a chance for Wellsmore. Oh, he's clever, able to shrug a couple of challenges, slaloming through, but took on one player too many. And South Melbourne repel with the ball. Eager, stand-up tackle, and not to the referee's liking. He fouls Baresi, and so it will be a South Melbourne free kick.
Oh, that is very close.
I'm looking at your freeze frame, Chris.
I think he's just onside, but
as we see the ball blazed away here by Withers. Well, don't forget, referees have also been trapped at home, locked down as well, so their first game. And it's harder, I would say, to train as a referee than it is to train as a player, Chris, because you only really get the consequence of your decisions on game day.
That's it. They didn't have the benefit of me freeze framing it the exact second that the ball was passed to judge that he's probably just onside, but, that's very, very, very close, that decision.
Got to say, watching the Euros, the use of VAR has been, I would say, 9, if not 10 out of 10. Just as we see here, advantage is given to Duggan. And Duggan fires! Oh, he's rattled the woodwork! And the follow-up, no one there for Port Melbourne. That was extraordinary. Dynamite in the boots. It went off like a block of C4, and it nearly found the opening goal.
Well, South Melbourne just backed off him. They said, you want to shoot from there, try your luck. And he tried his luck all right, hitting the crossbar. Goalkeeper taken out of the equation. And Port Melbourne that close to opening up with the opening goal in this game. Both sides with, a great chance each.
Oh, it deserved a goal. Maybe Omar Amachi. Is he inspired by his teammate? Slides it to Courtney Perkins, the cutback. No one home. He underhit it as far as Duggan was concerned and played it behind him. And now Port Melbourne, they have sparked to life here, only 16 minutes in. And after a very subdued opening from the visiting team, they've shown us a little bit of what they've got.
Yeah, Courtney Perkins just didn't get his head up to look across to the box to see that Duggan was making that run to the back post just to lay it onto him, and he tried to cut the ball back closer to the penalty spot without looking, and it was close to be a tap in. Duggan really should have been able to score from there with just a pass across the box.
So very entertaining opening. South with a glaring miss. Port Melbourne now with 2 chances of their own, one hitting the woodwork, one not finding the teammate in the 6-yard area. Feels like a goal could be coming at either end very, very shortly.
And speaking of South Melbourne, Mikey's let me know that Marcus Schoen has had a shoulder surgery as a result from the injury where the non-penalty decision in that game against Avondale, and he's going to be 3 to 4 weeks away. So he looked pretty good out there, but nothing wrong with running with your shoulder. So hopefully he's back soon. He's had horrible luck with injuries, Marcus Schoen. Got
to say that South Melbourne game away at Avondale. This is maybe the effect of lockdown and my Euro watching sleep patterns, but that feels like a million years ago, Chris. It feels like ancient history.
It's definitely about 40 matches ago that I've watched. Is that one?
As we see South Melbourne look to build, and the intercept comes from Edwards, and he's got open field to break into here. Chance for the counter for Port Melbourne. Decision time, though, for Daniel Edwards. Goes inboard. Duggan caught in possession. Immediately on his case was Marshall. So steered by Mells. Out to the right side. Maramachi is there, lifts in across, and the flick headed by El Mazi, the tall defender. Maybe we're getting our answer as to why he's in the centre of defence today. Up against the likes of Duggan. Also Courtney Perkins, who's not a towering figure, but certainly quite tall for a number 10.
He's been an excellent signing. He's another player that's been playing up in Queensland that's come down to Victoria. Adam Pittick has pretty much brought a very Queensland flair to his squad.
Well, I think the way it was put to me is he now has the team that he wants, Chris. I think this is, his third full season? Not counting 2020, so 18, 19 and 21?
Yeah, this is the squad that he's been building to put together to play the style of football that he wants to play. Obviously, Port Melbourne aren't a side with a huge budget. A lot of Queenslanders, the money isn't all that great up there, so you probably do get them on the cheap a little bit coming to Victoria until they establish themselves in this, and then the big clubs will throw the big money at them. But
well, the way I put it to Demir was, this is the Bentley Greens model, only because it's also a Queensland coach. It's been taken sort of to the next level.
Oh, definitely, and he's a pretty decent manager, Adam Pittick. He screams and shouts on the sideline quite a bit. Bit irrational at times with that sort of thing, but his sides have always been fairly well disciplined and stick to the game plan that he wants to play. He likes to play with possession, hold on to the ball, not a long ball sort of side, which you see great passes like that.
Well, the pendulum has flipped on this game, because now Port Melbourne are starting to enjoy some sustained possession, almost like South Melbourne bought their own ball for the first 15 minutes, and things have completely swept. And we're going to have a corner here, which, if I'm not mistaken, will be Port Melbourne's first of the night.
Yeah, Wellsmore and Edwards have just been pegged back for those first 10 minutes or so, and now those fullbacks have really been able to push into the attacking third of the pitch, and as you said, they're enjoying their good period of the game.
Totally still night, no wind to concern either goalkeeper, as we wait for this corner to come in from the right side for Port Melbourne, trying to take the lead here at Lakeside, and even though first head was there for Reardon, he sends it back out towards the corner.
Of course, we've got another game that'll be kicking off a little bit later tonight, Teo, where Oakley and Altona will play at 8:30.
Thoughts, as we see South Melbourne just hitting a little network of passes here, and goalkeeper Clark almost caught by Omar Amachi. I'm not dodging your question, Chris. It just turned out that we had a little bit of action unexpectedly there. Altona is probably the one team that, dare I suggest, may have been happy for the lockdown to continue and maybe for the season not to be completed. Yeah,
it's been a disastrous season with them. Different managers coming and going, and some only getting a game as well. So we saw this with Hume City probably 3 or 4 years ago, where such an upheaval with who's really steadying the ship, and in the end it ended up being Nick Hegarty to sort things out. But
Yankovic's long pass. Here's Clark. Can he make amends? He's one-on-one this time against Edwards, and he ended up shooting into the other defender that came back to cover. And well done, Reardon, who got in to help out his teammate and block that attempt away.
He's made that excellent run a few times, Clark, just on the inside of Edwards and not being tracked by, looks like Reardon, who's on the left outside of the back three.
Yankovic wins a foul here, so this is probably beyond shooting range. If Marcus Schroen was playing tonight, and thank you to SMFC Mike for telling us about how he's rehabbing that shoulder injury, but if he was playing, you'd fancy him, but maybe only him from this sort of distance.
Yeah, they'll definitely set up and try to, score from this free kick, but not go directed. And you're right, with Marcus Schroen, any sort of areas, he's got an opportunity.
Clark to take the set piece then, flick header, and Barezi's attempt to move it into the penalty box doesn't go much further than the line of Port Melbourne defenders who guard the space and get it away. Look, I think Oakley will win, but again, for the sake of the season, and I say this purely from a neutral point of view, Altona getting something, if not a win out of that game, would be great just to, keep the relegation battle to a multi-team affair rather than maybe 3 teams trying to avoid 2 spots.
And if Altona win tonight, it's going to put a lot of pressure on Chris Taylor as manager of Oakley, if that's the case, because, they've been a little bit disappointing from where they thought they'd be at this part of the year. It's still early enough that it's bunched up at the top, but they've dropped some points in games that you wouldn't have expected Oakley to do. So, Altona's still got a bit of a strong senior core of that squad, so, they're capable of that upset, but you'd think Oakley would probably be too strong at home.
We might, in the second half, we might preview the rest of the weekend, but we'll leave that for now because we've got action here. Of course, you can watch all the games on the NPL Victoria YouTube channel and Facebook page. And it is unfortunate that we are behind closed doors this weekend. But of course the cameras are still rolling. Ridden. George Mells. He's played a very supportive role so far, Mells. Now that Port Melbourne are spending a bit of time on the ball, we're calling his name a bit more, but he's definitely not getting into too many dangerous positions. He's happy to leave that to the likes of Courtney Perkins and Duggan to do the work further up the pitch.
Yeah, he's been a really solid and shrewd signing. You look at Reardon and Mells, spent a bit of time at, I think, Queensland Raw. And Adam Pittick looks to those 2 guys to be the...
Edwards' cross is going to bounce through the box.
Yeah, he looks at those 2 guys to be the real senior leaders going forward in this Port Melbourne team.
Wellsmore, back to Mells. Cuts it to Wellsmore, edge of the area, slides it low. Look at the space here for Jackson Courtney Perkins. Oh, wow. He misses the shot, but how did he find the space to turn? And Port Melbourne now have a glaring miss of their own.
Gee, it wasn't a quick turn as well. He took a couple of touches as trying to pass in the corner. In the end, probably should have done better, but that rustiness in this game, this could have easily been 2-2 this game already so far.
Well, South's defence on notice as Eager goes barging through the back here of Bates. And we did see the yellow card in about the 2nd minute of the game for Perry Lambropoulos, but no one has seriously infringed since then. Are South Melbourne passing backwards too often for your liking? Chris, I find that, yes, it's nice to have the defenders there as an option, but they seem to call off the attack on quite a few occasions because they've got the back pass waiting for them there. This time a bit more aggressive with that ball, and with a little glance from Edwards, it's still going to find its way to Daniel Clark at the byline. Can he outfox Edwards? No, he can't. Tries again. Edwards sticks to his task. Good one-on-one defending. Now Henry Hoare trying to go through a gap where there was none, and the ball is cleared away.
This game sort of changed the game with now South Melbourne on the front foot, with Port putting plenty of numbers back. I agree with you, Taylor. Just a few times they've just played that easy ball back a few times when they've had little runners in between the gaps that they should be trying to find.
This is for the purpose of switching flanks, but are they going to find any joy? It really feels as though Edwards is on notice now after Clark has got through his flank on a couple of occasions. Courtney Perkins doesn't see anything he likes ahead of the ball, but eventually goes to the one man that was open in Duggan, and he lost his footing on the lakeside surface. And now Baresi can turn and run. It's Josh Baresi, surrounded by Port Melbourne defenders. And as he drags the ball down to the byline, eventually defers. And now the cross to no one in particular is easily picked off by Withers.
Well, you can see even just that midfield turnover, you'd think that South Melbourne would have numbers forward of the ball to really attack. But before Baresi knew it, he had 6 white shirts around him and had to really just hold up the ball from then. So at the moment, South Melbourne aren't really committing a huge amount of numbers forward, especially from midfield, no matter how deep Port Melbourne are defending. Which has sort of been a bit of a problem. I know South fans aren't too happy that it's become quite a defensive style of football that South Melbourne have been playing the last couple of years under Esteban Quintus, but defensively they've been strong. They've only conceded 9 goals this year, the only side that hasn't hit double digits with that.
See the slip there from Withers and from the man he found with the pass in Mel's, but all's well that ends well because they've kept the ball, and now the goalkeeper gets a little chance to make amends here. This time plants the right foot and the left foot delivers the ball into touch and out.
It's got a touch of that that old Hungarian goalkeeper,
Gabor Kirilai. I was thinking
the
exactly
former West
the same
Bromwich,
thing.
West Brom, I think, goalkeeper with the tracksuit pants.
And you see, I think we're seeing it more and more. It's become socially acceptable in football for the goalkeeper to wear the full pants, Chris.
And let's bring back the tracky dacks, I say.
Of course, if this is the first winter in Melbourne for some of the Queenslanders in the Port Melbourne team, they would have felt the full force of it driving into the ground tonight. It was absolutely bucketing down rain, and thankfully, for the sake of the spectacle and for the players and the referees themselves, it has totally stopped. But it was seriously heavy rain, and I guess a credit to this venue for the drainage, because off the lake, this tends to be a ground that gets as bad a weather as anywhere.
No, it is. It's just in fantastic condition, but you're right, it's quite a still night, not a windy night as well. Definitely very cold here, but perfect night for football.
So we see Henry Hoare, he loves to break the lines with these runs. It's all about the pass now, and he ran into a 3-on-1 and then wasn't able to squeeze it through for his teammate Bates on that occasion.
He had options left and right and just couldn't make a decision. Before he knew it, he was swamped with Michael Eager making the block.
Turn straight into the defender there. It was coming from Courtney Perkins. So the ball goes out. Well, that defensive record has been the key to South Melbourne being so high on the table, Chris. To be honest, they haven't played particularly well in some of their wins this year, but when you're keeping clean sheets, it makes it a lot easier to win, even on a dodgy day.
Oh, definitely, and Pierce Clark's been a big part of that. He's made some really big saves this year and taken another step in his development.
And that defensive record might be under threat here from Omaramachi, who's moving, and, well, he's trying to replicate the effort of Duggan from earlier in the half, but he hooks that one out for a goal kick.
And that's the thing with such a bit more defensive style, resolute style that South Melbourne are playing. They've only really scored, I think, the 15 goals so far this year, and got Marko Jankovic with 3, their second top scorer.
Another card. This time it's Port Melbourne's first major infringement, and so into the book goes Christian Bombachi, who we've barely called his name on the ball here, Chris. He really has just been more of a positional space defender in this game, and the one time he engages, he gets a yellow ticket.
He's a bit unlucky with that, with, as you said, not really being involved a huge amount in the game. Sort of that position has been up for grabs a little bit this year with Luke Barfarosh, who has played some excellent games and unfortunately made some really rash challenges and got himself red-carded in games as well too. So both of them have been fighting for that third centre-back position this year. Speaking
of Luke Barfarosh, he may not be here tonight, but his haircut certainly is, with one of the ball kids that's down on the near side halfway line.
It's got a very David Luiz sort of feel about it.
You see, I think he gets called Guendouzi, but he's very noticeable, Luke Barfarosh. But another one who hasn't made it into the matchday squad tonight for this return to football. Coming back from 3 weeks. What was the weekend? Was the last weekend of action a month ago?
Yeah, I think it was close to a month ago, the last week of action. We've missed the 3 rounds.
It feels longer, I'll be honest with you. It does actually feel a lot longer since we had NPL out on the pitch. Hopefully it's flown by for you, the viewer. As has this first half, 31 minutes of somehow scoreless football given the chances that have been created. South Melbourne's turn maybe to try to break the deadlock. Edwards kept the ball in. Lone hand is Duggan ahead of the ball, and he's just going to use his straight line speed here to power past Liram El-Mazi. Has he got a runner in the penalty area? Does he go himself? Oh, it's blocked away. Good save by Pierce Clark in the end.
Gee, very deceptively quick there is Duggan. You thought El-Mazi was going to reel him in and not allow him to run across the byline, but his pace just got away from him and used his body well.
He was inspired by the athletics track because he ran the corner there. He was herring down the wing, and then he just seamlessly bent into the penalty area. And the next thing you know, he's honing in on the target. It was a marvellous run.
They've had some opportunities, Port Melbourne, but that was the first one where Clark was really needed to make a save, and he really got down low and really blocked that shot off, not allowing Duggan to pass it into the corner.
Back pass. Bates is going to chase here. Goalkeeper has to be sharp. Withers gets it away. Aerial duel. Yankovic wins the header, but not to his team's advantage. And so at the fall of the ball, Wellsmore was trying to thread his way through. Port Melbourne bench are up. They thought he was fouled. And the number of players that are starting to slip and slide as this game goes on. Ball over on the left. Cut into the penalty area to shouts of handball. Referee does not oblige. A few gaps now opening up. Game getting a little bit stretched.
There's just no one really gambling to get into the box. It was always, when it went out wide to Norton, you thought he's always going to whip in across on that position, but Clark and Baresi didn't really bust a lung to try to get into the box and give him an option. That's one thing that South Melbourne can probably change once they get into those good positions, just to commit the extra bodies forward. Because a few times they've looked up and it's just seen white shirts everywhere.
So now Port Melbourne's turn again. Duggan, is he going to repeat the dose over on the right side? This time he's getting a bit more defensive attention from El-Mazi, and it's out for a throw. Mills lifts in across, and rising was Yankovic, got the header down. Clark moves it on, eager, pressing right up. You see at the edge of the attacking third there, the centre back, trying to keep South Melbourne pinned back in defence. Port Melbourne are just going to ease the pressure a little bit. Reardon. Mills. Just trying to work out who's doing the shouting there, whether it was the keeper or one of the defenders that was trying to get the South Melbourne defence to move up, but they still sit relatively deep here, and they're going to have to move back even further as El-Mazi commits a foul here.
Duggan's got the better of him a few times now, and just a little nutmeg through the legs, and he wasn't having any of that. El-Mazi and just pushed Duggan to ground. But Josh Baresi's playing really like a false number 9. He's really dropping deep into midfield, so if they're not going to really have many attackers forward, Eager will gamble. He will push into midfield with him, and they've still got plenty of numbers behind the ball. So I really like the way that Port Melbourne have played this game so far.
Question is, can they get a reward for it with this free kick right here? Mills is standing over it. Not too many numbers committed forward, though, for Port Melbourne. Mills just lifts it straight onto a South Melbourne head, and comfortably enough from Norton to clear it away. Now Clark, he's only got the one man ahead of the ball, plays it straight into the heels of Edwards. Now Courtney Perkins having to backtrack. Edwards knew exactly where his keeper was. So now Withers, a low driving ball. Header comes from Adams. Now an exchange of aerial passes. Who's going to get it on the deck? Looks like it's Adams. Clark having to backtrack. Now Mills, Scrappy at the moment. Neither team can keep the ball. It's Willing in there. So we see the challenge coming through from Luke Pavlou. Play continues out to the left. Norton getting forward, directing some traffic. Lambropoulos. And Baresi is happy to knock it back. Yankovic. Into the last 10 minutes of this first half. Almost every South Melbourne player's had a touch of the ball in this phase of play. Yankovic gives it away, so the air goes out of the balloon for South, and now Port Melbourne look to hit on a quick counter, but they can't do so as the ball runs out of reach.
Really doing a good job to frustrate South Melbourne. As you said, everyone had a touch of the ball then, but they really went nowhere. They went back to their centre-backs and then turned over possession. So Port Melbourne, although South Melbourne have had some good areas out wide through the middle of the park, they've really blocked that off and really forced South Melbourne wide with their attacks.
Ball from Hoare out to the right side. Clark chasing. Can he turn provider here? He's going to cut in. Not Daly on the ball this time. Hoare maybe interrupted his teammate. I think coming through, Bates wanted the possession rather than the other midfielder in his road. And so Port Melbourne, as the game stretches again, trying to launch from one end to the other. Omar Amachi steers it back. Courtney Perkins out to Amachi. Crossing it in. Duggan was loading up. Ball never arrived. Well done, Yankovic, to block it off at the near post. And now space for Henry Hoare to run into once again. Got the entire Port Melbourne defence to deal with, though. And as he slides it through the left side, Bates is offside. Just saw the assistant referee just start to slow his run there rather than follow play, and you knew that the flag was going to follow.
Yeah, when he decelerates there, you just know that flag's about to go up. But once again, those wide areas for South Melbourne. Bates, plenty of pace out wide, just timed his run a little bit too early.
Interesting that Daniel Clark on that occasion, as soon as he was one-on-one with Edwards, he didn't wait this time. He just tried to move and tried to go direct rather than get stuck in a one-on-one against him. Eager steers it to Mells. He's got Reardon, and they're going to go back to their goalkeeper. Eager's got to be awake here to South Melbourne, just starting to ease numbers up the pitch. And again, Mells has to be alert to his surrounds. Edwards almost broke the wrong way there. Still able to get a little flick on the ball, but ultimately South Melbourne's press is a success. They win the ball back. Header from Reardon. Hooked forward by Pavlu, and it's allowed to bounce. Eager loads up for a header. And good body position from Wellsmore to protect the ball. Still going to find a teammate with it, though, and he's not able to. So South Melbourne enjoying a few little tactical victories here as they pin Port Melbourne in their defensive half. And now striding through the left, here's Norton trying to cut it back to Baresi, and instead it goes behind for a corner. And certainly from a strategic point of view, that's probably the best minute South have had in this first half.
You just see there Norton trying to tell his teammates to get in the box. Had another opportunity. When he looked up, it was only really Henry Hoare at the back post versus a couple of Port Melbourne players. So all he could do was try that cut back. As you said, South Melbourne, just the last couple of minutes pressing a lot higher, winning the ball back in good areas.
So what will they conjure up from the corner? They take it short. Hoare cutting into the byline and now trying to beat the keeper. Nope, in net, not quite. Defenders were on the line. Yankovic is crying for handball. And neither the central or assistant referees were going to come to his aid. We might take a forensic look on the stream there, but I think if the referees didn't see it, I don't think we were going to be, at least with the naked eye, able to spot a handball back on the goal line. It's a good pass, though. It took the goalkeeper out of the equation. Chris, you've seen the replay. Your verdicts?
Yeah, I don't believe that's a handball. Hands were close to his body. It sort of looked like it hit more up towards the pec. And actually, it's hit the hand, but the hand was in close to the body, so no penalty.
So, refereeing has been pretty good so far.
It's as close as the NPL is going to get to VAR. Yes, the 10-second delay on the stream does help us commentators sometimes.
I think tellingly, none of his teammates really went with him. It was just Yankovic who made the appeal. Although Port Melbourne now, it's their turn to just lock down a bit and try to get to half-time scoreless as South Melbourne have swung the pendulum back in their favour. It has been an entertaining, albeit goalless game. As we see this long ball, hoping for Edwards. He's able to keep it in. Great athleticism to keep running. Oh, and eventually the assistant referee's flag is up and saying that he wasn't able to keep it beyond the line for his entire little dash down the flank.
He's had a really good start to his Port Melbourne career, one of those mid-season signings, and Kiwi, who spent a bit of time in the US college system of late and come to Victoria now. And Chris Kiusis, normally that wing back role, he's back in the squad after injuries have curtailed another season for him, but it's definitely a position they needed to strengthen, especially when you can't really rely on Cusis to be there week in, week out, and he's playing that wing-back role really, really smartly.
Bit of push and shove going on as headers are exchanged. Now Archibald was trying to play it through to Amachi, but the defence converged. Now Yankovic sliding it out to the left. Do you think we see Jerry Salados in the second half for South Melbourne? They've actually had quite a bit of contribution. I mean, Clark is probably the story of the first half. We've seen Bates plenty. I'm not sure another winger is what they need. We'll answer that question in a moment. Here is Daniel Clark, the aforementioned, trying to run central, leaves it with Baresi, feigned a shot on the turn, instead tries to break into the box. He's forced wide. Can he keep the ball glued to his feet? No, he can't. But it stays with South Melbourne. Lambropoulos, a low cross. Reardon gets the half volley away. Pavlu would be an unlikely goal scorer, and the defensive midfielder shifts it out to the left. Norton. And now here's Bates. And he's going to steer it back. Yankovic. South Melbourne looking for a gap. 2 minutes of regulation to go in the first half. Clark played it to Lambropoulos, and he is legged by an energetic challenge there from the backtracking Duggan. And the ball is cleared out again. But yeah, Jerry.
He's the type of player with his skill he can really unlock defences, and you might need that, especially how he drops in between the lines. It might be a game for him to play more of a number 10 role than a wide role, this sort of game, because that's where they're really struggling to break Port Melbourne down so far. Archibald and Malza really screened that defence really well.
Attempted long throw right into a pack of players, and ultimately it's El Mazi who commits the foul. Johnny Barrero's whistle coming to the aid of Port Melbourne, and even though we've got ball boys here tonight, that one's caught them out. They're going to have to go and chase that one at least 100 metres down the running track. Luckily, we've got a few spares on hand to restart the game as we tick into the last minute of regulation in the first half.
Withers is definitely taking his time with his kick. You say Port will just be happy just to get to half-time at 0-0 and assess things.
Header is there to be won. It was an attempted flick on from Archibald, but it hit him in the back more than anything. Reardon hooks the clearance. Amachi, and now Mel's charging through, but the header can't find any of his teammates.
It's one of the things that's really changed with this stronger defensive record for Port Melbourne the last 5 or 6 games is Archibald's transition to a defensive midfielder with George Mel's. That partnership has really been very hard to play through.
Fourth official has indicated 1 additional minute, so time enough here for South Melbourne to try and capitalise on their stronger finish to the first half. What do you think the South Melbourne halftime team talk is?
Well, they've had a lot of possession. For you reckon probably half an hour of the first, half an hour of this game so far, South Melbourne's pretty much been on top. But they've probably got to commit a little bit more forwards. Maybe Lambropoulos might make way for a Jerry Salados to add a bit more of attacking flair as the game goes on. And maybe just commit those extra bodies forward when they get into good positions. They've been happy to stay back because Amanchi and Duggan really stay forward, so they keep the 2 forward there, Port Melbourne.
The referee decides 1 minute, no thanks, 40 seconds will do. Half time, and it is South Melbourne 0, Port Melbourne 0. Chris Gleeson, last word on the first half.
Yeah, both teams have had big chances
half
in
time
this game.
in this round 17
and you
match
probably
on both
think
sides.
that it could have been 2-2 instead of 0-0 at half time. Port Melbourne did have their moments in the game. They've been defensively pretty resolute, apart from a couple of balls over the top that Clark got on the end of. But they had chances themselves, Port Melbourne. South Melbourne probably been the better of the 2 sides, and lots to play for in the second half. You'd think that the game would open up with the bodies getting a little bit more tired. So quite an entertaining first half, and we'll see how it changes in the second half.
Thank you for joining us for the first half. You'll have the countdown clock as your company during the halftime break. Hopefully we've got some goals on the way for you. When we return, it will be the second half of NPL Victoria action, repeating that halftime score. South Melbourne 0, Port Melbourne 0. Back soon. Both teams back out on the pitch for the start of the second half in this NPL Victoria match. We're at half-time. South Melbourne and Port Melbourne are level 0-0. Chris Gleeson joining me, Teo Pellizzeri. Chris, first half, Port Melbourne started very conservatively. South Melbourne had the better of the first 15 minutes, and then, really, Port Melbourne flicked the switch and had a good little 15-minute spell, and then by the end of the first half, South were well and truly back on top again. Which direction do you see this game going in the second half?
Yeah, as you said, South Melbourne really put their foot on the throttle for the last 10 or so minutes. You think maybe Port Melbourne were happy to get to half-time, so they sort of switched on to be a bit more defensive. But South Melbourne just got to commit a few better extra numbers forward. They've got into good areas where no one's really getting in the box to attack. Norton's been out wide and had a chance to get a couple of crosses in, but nobody really there. So if they commit numbers forward a little bit more, South Melbourne, I reckon they're good enough to get that goal and then force Port Melbourne to get on the front foot, and maybe gaps will open up.
Of course, if you haven't seen the first half, Daniel Clark had a gilt-edged one-on-one against the goalkeeper, which he missed. As we see Courtney Perkins here with a foul right at the edge of the box from Jankovic, and Johnny Barrero is reaching for his pocket, so Mark Jankovic goes into the book at the start of the second half. That is South Melbourne's second yellow card, and I think the only person who will be happy about that is Perry Lambropoulos, because that was even faster than his yellow card at the start of the night.
Let's see a couple of cards now to South Melbourne. A great opportunity for this set piece, but Courtney Perkins, great bit of skill, and he sort of dragged the leg back a little bit when Jankovic made that challenge, just to make sure there was a bit of contact. Yeah.
And I was just saying, the chance in the first half, South's best fell to Daniel Clark. Port Melbourne's best, Chris Duggan, rattling the crossbar with a long shot. That did not go in, and it was a let-off for South just seconds later as another pass went through the 6-yard area and wasn't able to find a Port Melbourne player. Anyway, they have a dead ball here. George Mells has 5 in the wall to contend with, and the wall does its job to deny Omar Amachi, who pulled rank on Mells at the last second. Now the ball at the edge of the box. Duggan, here's his left foot. South Melbourne players putting their bodies on the line, and it goes out for a throw. We've got kickoff as well down at Jack Edwards Reserve. What was your tip for that one, Chris? Oakley versus Altona Magic, which you can open a new browser tab and watch as well on the NPL Victoria Facebook page or YouTube channel.
Yeah, I think Oakley get the job done. You know, you can get some funny results, especially with the little break that we've had in play for the last month, but I think Oakley, they really should be getting the job done against a very struggling Altona Magic side.
And just for those viewers at home thinking about their weekend, what are the NPL 2 and NPL 3 games for streaming this week?
So the games that we've got for streaming this week in NPL 2 is going to be Northcote City versus North Geelong Warriors, 3 o'clock tomorrow.
Okay.
And Steve Curtin and Craig Filer will be in commentary for that game.
We see an attempted through ball here, and out of his line, Clark is able to get to the ball before Omar Amachi.
And Doveton gets their first streaming game in NPL 3, so that'll be up against Whittlesea Rangers.
Okay.
I think there might be an old goalkeeper that's played a lot in this league making his NPL Victoria commentary debut there in Stuart Webster.
Stuart Webster lives in the comment section of many of our live streams, so it's great to hear that he's getting behind the microphone as the ball goes down the right-hand side here for South Melbourne. And Clark, I'm sure he'll still be determined to make amends for that miss in the first half, but on this occasion it's out for a goal kick.
And so we've had a couple of transitions with the comment section to commentary. We've had Bob Brown over at Dandenong Thunder call the game earlier this year. So it could be a spot there for fans to jump on the airwaves, especially when it's a cold winter and we're rained on in the scaffolding. If a few of them want to put their hands up, I'll be quite happy.
I must admit, I haven't been to Doveton's ground, but I did see the footage of Preston Lions winning 2-0 away at their venue. They get good crowds, so it's a real shame that this weekend, of course, we won't have fans ringing the fence because of the restrictions. Lots of shouts for a foul on that passage of play. Referee Johnny Barrero has shown 3 yellow cards tonight, but nothing totally sinister or serious yet. Neither team has turned to the bench either to make a substitution. As we see a long ball here that just draws Clark a step out of his penalty area. And Bates is unable to keep the ball in. The benches tonight, Port Melbourne have got Angelo Rigianis. South Melbourne, Angelo Rigianis, Freddie Say, Matt Latrakis, Sasha Murphy, and Jerry Salados. And as we have the whistle come to the aid of Port Melbourne right here, their bench tonight: Evan Marker, Yanakis, Matthew Ntumanopoulos, Chris Kiusis, Lathan Dunn, and John Quall. Do you have a sub in mind, Chris, that you'd like either team to make?
Yeah, I'd probably say with Perry Lambropoulos with that early yellow card in midfield, I'd probably go to Jerry Salados, play him a little bit more central, try to get him a bit closer to Baresi, and just an attacking substitution there for South Melbourne, and maybe around that 1 hour mark that we might see something like that. So I thought Bates and Clark have done a good job out wide. It's just they need to create a little bit more, something different. I think Jerry definitely provides that.
Bates is definitely the man they've been comfortable sacrificing or just subbing out at times in the South Melbourne games I've seen either live or on the stream. They are a team that really does sometimes play with the handbrake on, though. Chris, you mentioned 15 goals for, 10 against, and what is it, round 17 that we're in tonight? Although it's round 17 on paper, but we've missed 3 weeks, so it's what, game 14 of the season? Yeah. Edge of the box, and a pack of Port Melbourne players are able to stand in the road and stop South Melbourne getting a meaningful shot away.
We do say that about South Melbourne, how they've been a bit more defensive in the last, particularly this year compared to previous years, but you know, it's this stage of the year, South fans will be happy that they are definitely in the title race, though. Where a couple of years before that, they were sort of dropping off at this time of year, maybe looking to be a final side, but maybe, you know, and then dropping out of that contention of that. At the moment, they definitely look like a final side, and they are definitely in the running to try to win. What
a giveaway, dangerous from Reardon, but his teammates are there to help out, Eager and also George Mells, and so the danger is short-lived. And now Edwards is going to try and seize on the opportunity to exploit some space down that left side. Edwards, he left his teammate with an underhit pass. And so coming back in the other direction, Adams using his strength. Advantage given as well. Pavlu combining with Henry Hoare. Things slow down a little bit at the feet of Adams to Liram Elmazi. Elmazi tried a slide rule ball, which was asking a little bit too much. Reardon comes through. Now Chris Duggan. George Mells, and plays it over to Christian Bombachi. Just doesn't want the ball at his feet. Part of the 5-man backline. Of course, Emlyn Wellsmore is very advanced up the pitch. As we see the other opposite attacking fullback in Edwards doing some really good backtracking there. I've only seen him live twice, Chris, but I really like his work rate and his game awareness too. Edge of the box now. Duggan slides it out to the left. Red alert here for the South defence. And it's a good header away to save the day. Oh, wow! Duggan pulls out a spectacular overhead kick. That is extraordinary. It is a goal of the season contender. And it is the drought breaker after lockdown. Welcome back, NPL. That's what this league is all about.
That's incredible there by Duggan. I think everybody was looking around to see what was going to happen. And he goes for the overhead kick after the header away, just out of nothing. And look at the power he gets on that. And that is one of the goals of the season by Duggan.
It is 1-0 to Port Melbourne, and they could not have done it in more alarming or stunning fashion. Chris Duggan, Chris, is that goal of the season. I know that you've been a big advocate for Sumaro and also Valentini. They've had some good ones. That's a very different type of goal. What do you reckon?
Valentini at Dandy City from long range with the ball swerved, and I think the camera angle really helped that one as well. Hit the top corner, but Duggan, I think it's out of them too. That is an incredible goal. The power he gets to that overhead kick. Goalkeeper had no chance. Defence had no chance, and Port Melbourne lead here in the derby.
And now the ball is hooked with a little touch off the defender. And that was Bombachi, who's put it behind for a corner at South. Looking now for the instant reply.
Speechless after that Duggan shot. That was incredible.
Well, this is why we love the NPL, and this is why we try to get it back on the field, even if the fans aren't allowed in under the government regulations. We just want to play the games. We want to show what this competition is all about. Here comes the corner. South looking for the instant reply. Shouts for handball. Waved away. Johnny Barrero at the edge of the penalty area. Decisive in his decision. And it's sliced out for a Port Melbourne throw.
Well, even if there was crowds in there, you probably would have had the same reaction of the stunned silence with South Melbourne going behind, and such a spectacular goal there by Duggan. And as I said, it's going to be Jerry Salados. He's going to be coming on. It looks like Baresi. So an attacker for an attacker is the change.
You called it, though. You said try Baresi at number 10, and that's exactly where he's going.
Substitution for South Melbourne. Coming on, number 45, Jerry Salados. Replacing number 23, Joshua Baresi.
Might have changed a little bit. It might be Hoare and Bates on the wings with Jerry at number 10. And looks like Clark's going to go up top now.
And light rain starting to fall here as well.
So they haven't really changed anything in the way that they're going to play. They've just moved the parts around, South Melbourne.
Wellsmore. And, oh, it nearly slid on. Yankovic recovers the ball just when it looked as though Jackson Courtney-Perkins was going to sneak in behind. I'm a little bit thrown, Chris, because Jackson Courtney-Perkins, I reckon he's changed from the long sleeves to the short sleeves during the halftime break. I'm almost certain he was wearing long sleeves in the first half, as was his teammate Ross Archibald. So we see a slide challenge here from Wellsmore once, twice, 3 times as his teammate comes in to help out. And that was Jackson Courtney-Perkins unable to take the ball.
Yeah, they've definitely gotten rid of the undershirt and gone with the shorter sleeves. Probably thought it was a beautiful night here in Melbourne where the rain disappeared, and as soon as you make that change in your uniform, the rain starts to come down.
It's a bizarre looking foul there given away by Port Melbourne, but South don't want to take a direct free kick. They're going to go backwards instead. I guess from a neutral point of view, if South are going to be sort of tempted into being a bit more aggressive, going behind was what was going to do it. Not the circumstances they would have wanted, though. Would have much rather the game be 0-0 as Salados blazes that one through the penalty area. And in spite of the chase from Bates, Port Melbourne are going to have him well guarded. Now swung to the top of the box. Henry Hoare was there, quickly cleared. Amachi knocks it back, asking a lot of Edwards. A little bit of off-the-ball contact. He goes to ground, Amachi. In the meantime, Edwards slip sliding around. And out of his line comes Withers. Had to be sharp and was, and gets it out to the sideline for a throw.
Yeah, definitely had to be quick off his line there. Withers really read the situation well and got it away before Clark had a chance to have another opportunity on goal. He's had a couple of big chances now, Clark, and now he's going to be playing up front. He really has to make the most of the next one that comes his way.
So the rain is, it's not heavy rain, it's just dense, light rain. And Bombachi gets up to win the header here, out for a throw. Referee holds play up because it looks as though we're going to get Port Melbourne's first and second changes of the game. So Adam Pittock with something to defend here is going to go to the bench, and off comes Omar Amachi for Chris Kiusis. And the other switch is going to be Matthew Ntumanopoulos, and he is coming on for Ross Archibald. So not sure if Archibald's 100% fit here, Chris, because Ntumanopoulos, fellow central midfielder, that one looks like a like for like.
It'll be interesting to see what the change happens with Chris Kiusis coming on for Amanchi. Maybe either Edwards might be pushed forward or Kiusis will be playing in a more attacking sort of wide role. Thanks, like.
So those two subs take place.
It does look like Edwards is taking a more central position. Looks like Edwards is taking his Manchi spot, and Kiusis is going to go into that wing-back role.
It's interesting because when you mentioned in the first half that Kiusis was coming back from injury, I thought, geez, he's going to have a battle to get his preferred spot in the team back yet. But our question, well, my question, which I didn't even ask, has been answered already. It's that Edwards is going to have to move and play elsewhere.
Great opportunity for him to show how versatile he is to the Adam Pittock in the squad to play different positions.
I was going to say, Chris, how does this scoreline affect the live table? I might come back to you on that in a moment, and we might also take the opportunity as we work our way into the mid stages of the second half to talk about the games in prospect. But here's the goal scorer, Duggan, out to the left. Can they get a second? Courtney Perkins at the near post, didn't get good purchase on the shot, and it's cleared away by a desperate South Melbourne defence.
See it on the live ladder. Port Melbourne are up to 5th position on 22 points. And that pushes, at the moment, Hume City out of the top 6. So it's going to be a big 3 points if the Sharks can hold on to it. It's just looking for only their second ever win here at Lakeside Stadium in the NPL era.
That just shows not just how close the ladder is, but the value of this current scoreline to Port Melbourne. Long ball, trying to break the lines here is Bates, but comfortable enough for Withers.
In fact, at this stage of the season, South Melbourne on the live ladder is only 1 point ahead of Port Melbourne in 4th position. So some really, really big games coming up in NPL Victoria. It's so tight at the top, and we sort of still think that, you know, Dandenong City and Altona could possibly get out of relegation trouble. St Albans and Eastern Lions doing okay for now, so it's going to be a big finish to this season.
Port Melbourne owning the ball at the moment. Total contrast to this time in the first half, where for the first 15 minutes it was South Melbourne who really brought their own ball to the ground tonight. Port Melbourne barely got going until about the 15 to 20 minute mark. And now, again, in a game where both sides have enjoyed spells of dominance, it is Port Melbourne who find themselves on top. Chris, at your own pace, would you like to take us through the rest of the weekend in the top flight of NPL Victoria, and we might give our predictions for the rest of the weekend?
And so we did touch on the Oakley Altona game, which is 15 minutes in, still 0-0. And we've got to cut 3 games on tomorrow. Avondale hosting Dandenong City.
Of course, change of coach. Dandy City appeared to be making the most of lockdown there to change the gaffer, with Mickey Kalina coming in to replace Sasha Ognanovsky, who, unfortunately for the former Socceroo, I think only won 1 out of his 18 games in charge. I mean, you always want, you know, a great of the game, which Sasha definitely is as a Asian Champions League winner and former Socceroo. We'll just wait here for Edwards. Now on the turn, Duggan clips it high, skimming off the head of Henry Hoare, but play will continue, and Port Melbourne happy just to win a throw. Down next to the corner flag. The rain has now stopped. Clear skies once again after about 5 minutes of dense rain. We wait here for Wellsmore to take the throw. Bombachi. George Mells. And clipped it to no one in particular. Still going to be some work to do here for Bates out the back, though, and he clears to touch. But, yeah, a shame for Sasha. I think Avondale will take care of business against Dandy City.
Yeah, you think that Avondale will take care of business in that game. It is disappointing for Sasha, but as you said, his record wasn't great, and he's had decent squads too. It's not like he's, they spent a lot of money, had a really strong squad last year, lost all 5 games, and then this year it just hasn't worked out. So disappointing for him, and I agree with you. I think Avondale get the job done at home.
Just on Mickey Kalina, he's going to complete the set. He's got Knights, he's got North Geelong Warriors, he's got Dandy City. Who's missing?
St Albans, I think, is the other one.
St Albans and FC Strathmore, and then Melbourne Tornado. I'm just trying to think of the other Croatian clubs. But no, look, a very experienced coach, and let's not forget that season where he had Melbourne Knights flying and near the top of the league, and unfortunately it all just went a bit pear-shaped as the season went on, and they ended up missing the 6, and he ended up losing the gig.
So I think it's a great job for him. It's a squad that's good enough that probably should be able to get out of trouble if they get on a roll. So see if Mickey can provide that for him. And then we've got the 5:30 game tomorrow. Hume City, who've on a bit of a high at the moment. They're playing some really good football, got some good results out of a difficult month before the lockdown, and they're hosting the Melbourne Knights, who have had their probably worst patch of the season so far in the last few weeks.
As we see a foul here on Jerry Salados. South Melbourne free kick there, chasing this game down 1-0. I don't know if the stats back me up, but Knights are a pretty good away team at Hume's Stadium. Although I think this season will be a different kettle of fish. I think Hume will win.
Well, Hume City, they've played 6 games at home for 5 wins and 1 draw, and that 1 draw was back in round 1 against Altona. So 5 wins on the bounce from home. They play their ground really strongly. So yeah, I agree. I think Hume City defeat Melbourne Knights tomorrow night.
One of the subs that you flagged here, Chris, has gone through as I compete with the ground announcer. Perry Lambropoulos off, Freddie Say on, I'm not sure Say was the man that you called to come on, but you did flag that yellow card for Lambropoulos just robbed him of the ability to be a bit more combative and punchy in midfield, and obviously when you're walking the tightrope. So he makes way. Freddie Say hasn't quite introduced himself the way he might have hoped to South Melbourne fans. He's obviously had limited game time to do so. Love nothing more than to get them back into this one tonight.
Yeah, it looks like Freddie's going to be playing out on the left, and Clark's still up top. Salados looks like moved out to the right, and then you've got probably two up top. I think Hoare and Clark are playing a bit closer together, so they are changing the structure in the final third a little bit, South Melbourne, as they try to chase this game.
But yes, we're both tipping Hume.
Yes, we're definitely both tipping Hume for that game. Melbourne Knights, though, strong start to the season, just lost their way a little bit, but we'll see how things turn out tomorrow. It should be an excellent game.
Backtracking here, Salados, and then coming through Adams. Hits it long, and Bates was coming back from an offside position. Flag goes up.
And then tomorrow night we got Dandenong Thunder and Eastern Lions. What a big game that is in the East.
Yeah, so that's really hard to predict, because obviously Eastern Lions have been a bit of a surprise packet. I think Thunder, with Watson and Bernarda, and the fact that they are just clinging to the hope of a top 6 run, I do think they win at home. But gee, Eastern Lions, those two would have played against each other quite a bit in NPL2 when Dandy Thunder were down there trying to win promotion. So I don't think there's the fear or intimidation factor of the away trip to Dandy for Eastern Lions. It's something they'd be a bit more used to, but I do think that the Thunder will win.
See, this is the one game I'm going to differ with you. I'm going to go for Eastern Lions. Just the way they were set up defensively, and very hard to score against the Melbourne Knights. So I think they'll do the same sort of thing, and I'm still not 100% convinced with the Thunder defence. So I think Eastern Lions will nick a 1-0 win.
Throw in here for South as they chase an equaliser in this game. Norton, can he find space for his left foot? He lifts it into the box, but not high enough. Bombachi gets it away. Clark. Now Adams. He's going to drift it in. Tumbling ball beyond Freddie Say, and headed clear. And now Wellsmore. And he hits it high and long, and if it holds up here on the turf, might be awkward for the South Melbourne defence. Oh, it's very awkward. And then Duggan is unable to make a play on the ball because just enough was done by Liramel Marzi. I don't know about you, Chris, but I saw that one coming. The ball just teetered outside the penalty area, having to draw Pierce Clark out. Gee, South Melbourne would love to score on the end of such a nervy passage of play. Jerry Salados. Can he turn provider here from the right flank? Salados, and into the arms of Withers.
So that's the counter-attack that South Melbourne have been looking for. Plenty of numbers in the box there, just Salados couldn't get the ball through to his teammates. But the game's going to be opening up a little bit more now. As Port now find a bit of momentum through midfield.
Courtney Perkins. And the runner from deep. Oh, keeper's come out here. The net's open, and it's turned away from goal. Desperate last-ditch defending. Liramel Marzi's furious with the way that was defended. Pierce Clark was caught stranded at the edge of the box.
Yeah, Clark might have been still thinking about the problem they had just a minute ago with Almarzi then. Just didn't really... He was never really going to get to that ball. I don't know why he came out and really created a problem for his team then. A couple of nervous moments for South Melbourne, and see if Port Melbourne can capitalise on it.
So George Mills to take this corner. Already up to the 68th minute, so Port Melbourne, if they score here and go 2-0 up, they might start thinking about putting this one in the books. Here's Mills. Eager was the target, didn't quite get to the ball. Edwards taking on Freddie Say, and Say defends him well, puts it out for a throw. South have got to make a defensive stand here. They cannot afford to concede again.
Defensive frailties really plagued their seasons in past, but hasn't really been an issue so far this year for South Melbourne. But lucky lived a bit dangerously with a couple of opportunities.
I guess if you're going to concede, it may as well be goal of the season. This is defended at the near post, but more challenges coming. Reardon, the centre-back, stings the palms there of the goalkeeper Pierce Clark, who bats it out for another corner.
Another great opportunity there for Port Melbourne, who really got South on the back foot at the moment, and A bit of miscommunication in the back there just allowed him to drive at them. Nobody really trying to stop his run, and they allowed Duggan to shoot from range and nearly cost him in the first half. Almost the same then.
This is where they really do miss the fans, South, just to try and get under them and lift them out of defence. Here comes the corner, high to the back post, turned back in by Reardon, and brave defending, crashing through there and putting it out for yet another corner. That time it was Luke Pavlu.
Just over at the Oakley game, it's still 0-0 between Oakley and Altona. 24 minutes played in that one.
We will get back to tipping the rest of the weekend, but right now Port Melbourne have got South pinned to the goal line. Never mind in their defensive penalty area. A series of corners, one after the other. Mel's just asking the assistant referee if the man Hoare is back far enough. Here's the corner. First header for Eager, and it's in the safe hands of Clark. And as you can see, he's desperate just to move the lines and get the ball out of defence so South can get some breathing space, but that clearance won't help.
He probably that was the time probably just to hold on to the ball for a second. There's still plenty of time in the game just to, hold on to possession for a minute or two just while Port are so dominant at the moment, but just a long clearance away gives the ball back to Port.
Bombachi's throw. Under the head of Norton. If South were to score here, it really would be against the run of play. Might give them the confidence to go on and try and win it. Offside. Bates protests his innocence, but the assistant referee has the final say.
We'll just move over to Sunday. St Albans host Bentley Greens at 3 o'clock.
Gee, I don't think Bentley will enjoy... I was going to say, what's the state of St Albans pitch? I know in years gone by, normally by this time of the year, it's the sort of surface that the Bentley Greens would not relish trying to play their football on. I think St Albans can get a draw out of that one.
I think Bentley will continue on their merry way and get the 3 points against St Albans.
Of all the teams to benefit from 3 weeks of no football, given Bentley's injury list, I suspect that they may well be beneficiaries rather than sufferers. Mind you, we went into lockdown with them in fantastic form, but they'll have more players back to choose from as a result.
Oh, definitely. And the Bentley Greens, and it's second at the moment, so 24 points. Gee, if they want to be looking at titles and that, they have to go to St Albans and get all 3 points. So I'm going to put it on Tolios to get the job done.
Here's Bates, clever turn, and again trying to take on the defence single-handedly, and Port Melbourne has the numbers.
Comes too that Bentley do have one of the best away records in the league as well.
Duggan, the goal scorer. Quick little 1-2 here, clever, linking up with Cusis. Down to the corner he goes, and then hooks it in. Edwards, bit of space here for Edwards, and now he cuts it back. Cusis, Duggan again, lifts it in. Oh, Courtney Perkins was his target, and it is headed out for a goal kick. So JCP must have got the last touch on that one.
We'll just go to the final game. It's Heidelberg versus Green Gully. So Heidelberg United in 3rd position, Green Gully in 9th. A little bit disappointed Green Gully to be in the position where they are now, but so
there's shades of 2018 to Gully here. They've just got to be careful with Eastern Lions and Dandy Thunder having revivals that they don't get sucked down into 3rd last.
And just Heidelberg just before the break was starting to play some much better football, very resilient and starting to pick up those points.
They're a team that is going to suffer for no home support though. I think it's going to, hopefully the weather's a bit nicer than it was today, Sunday afternoon at Olympic Village, but not having, even against a team like Avondale, who aren't known for having a huge fan base. I was there, Heidelberg had at least 400 people. I mean, they have a good, healthy, stock home following, and they will miss them this weekend. But I still think they'll beat Green Gully.
Yeah, I think they should get the job done against Green Gully too.
Henry Hoare looking for Freddie Say in the clinches. Lots of traffic at the edge of the penalty area here, and then Salados tried to spring the back line, but he couldn't do so as the ball goes out for a goal kick. Yeah, good weekend of NPL football coming up. It's just a shame that the fans can't go and see. I think Euros at night, NPL during the day. What could be better, Chris?
It sounds like a perfect weekend to me.
Might just relegate footy to the mute button in the background and watch the NPL.
Especially the way the games are set up tomorrow with a 3 o'clock, 5:30 and then the 7 o'clock kickoff.
I think, look, credit to the competitions team at Football Victoria for allaying any concerns and harnessing people's enthusiasm to get back out and play. I mean, regardless of which community sport it is, so we see Lirim El-Mazi here crashing through and conceding a foul. I think the protests here are that he should get his second yellow, but Johnny Barrero is going to be unmoved. You be the ref, Chris?
It was a pretty crunching challenge into the back of him. I couldn't really tell if he was using his arm much in that contact. If he did, then you probably see a second yellow, but the referee was closest to it. You've got to back him up to say that, you know, he's barged in through him and the foul has been given.
But, yeah, I think community sport harnessing that passion to get back and play. I know that local footy has been equally desperate to get back on the park after losing 3 weekends.
Yeah, there was a little bit of a forearm action, massaged the back of his head a little bit, but it wasn't a swinging arm or anything like that.
Eager flick header and held on to by Clark.
So I'm comfortable with that just being a foul.
Long ball and comfortably dealt with initially at the fall. Freddie Say, getting to see him on the ball a little bit now. Look at the space here for Luke Pavlu. He doesn't want to take it though. He's going to defer left and go to Norton. Now Jerry Salados. Does he want the long shot, Jerry? Yes, he does. Oh, decent trajectory. Could not bend it back towards the target. But maybe that's a sign of what's coming in the last 15 minutes of this one.
Yeah, pretty good effort there from Salados. Not too far from the position that Duggan hit the crossbar with in the first half. And another sign of intent from South Melbourne as they try to get back level in this game.
Got a goal around the grounds, Chris. Oakley Cannons 1, Altona Magic 0. So Altona Magic's rough run continues for them. Of course, that game started an hour after this one, so finish the last 15 minutes with us here, and then you'll be able to enjoy the second half of that one from Jack Edwards Reserve.
It was just Thurtell unmarked at the back post, a bit of a scrappy corner, and was able to, you know, place the shot through plenty of bodies and give Oakley the lead in that game.
What a player, Matt Thurtell. Fantastic record for so many years now. Another Queenslander, of course. South Melbourne trying to swing the pendulum in this game. Norton, oh, he ran out of real estate. You could just see him trying to contort his body and twist that cross back towards the penalty area, but ran out of space. But it just feels like the last 2 or 3 minutes, Chris, South are now starting to turn up the heat on Port Melbourne, and you wonder, with just the solitary goal, how adventurous Port Melbourne might be from this point on.
Just sort of that period like when they tried to get to half-time, they sat a bit deeper, Port Melbourne, to get level at the break, and, you know, 15 minutes to go with this lead. They're going to sit back and really just try to hold on to this lead. So it's going to create opportunities for South Melbourne, but you did say that Norton ran out of real estate. I've been saying it for a while here at Lakeside Stadium. The advertising boards are pretty close to the pitch behind the goals. Doesn't really give the players much room to pull up.
Of course, it's a deceptively narrow pitch because the running track makes it look like a wider surface than it is. Here's Jerry Salados, advantage given for contact after the ball was passed to him. Salados takes on Wellsmore, and then he goes to ground, and Wellsmore was never going to give away a foul for that. And again, Port Melbourne, I wonder if they're just signing themselves up for a half-field defensive drill here for 13 minutes, Chris, because that's the way this game is starting to go.
It definitely is, and, you know, Salados finding a little bit too much space for probably Adam Pittock's liking in this game. He's the one who can really, you give him room to go one-on-one and be isolated with the play, he's going to, you know, more often than not get past him. He's going to have a big save. South Melbourne can get back at least level or try to win this game.
Edwards went to ground and to Menopoulos, and now ball is cleared straight back to Pierce Clark.
I thought Clark was going to handle that there for a second.
Again, a little bit awkward, but cleared his lines eventually. Eager, straight to Norton. Of course, those two were great teammates, and Norton couldn't disguise his handball. That's about as loud as we've heard the venue tonight, as players on both teams shouted at the referee, and it is Port Melbourne who get a free kick and the opportunity to wind some seconds off the clock, and I don't think they'll be committing too many numbers forward here.
Just gives them that time just to have a breather. They've been defending for the last 10 minutes pretty committedly.
Taking the free kick about 10 metres further back from where the handball was committed to. Oh, equaliser for Altona Magic. Hello. So Mells plays it to Edwards, and now out to the right. Here's Wellsmore. Not afraid to keep pushing forward here. Wellsmore knows the second goal could be priceless. It tumbles through the penalty area, and no one can make a goal-bound attempt. Courtney Perkins chases it down. Still danger for South Melbourne as Courtney Perkins lifts it out on his left. And the last thing South will want is to concede another, because that, based on the way Port Melbourne have set up defensively tonight, will just about shut the gate on them. As things stand, though, there's enough time that if South Melbourne score an equaliser, anything could happen in the last 10 or so minutes. Salados is dispossessed by Reardon. Now Edwards. Mells distributing out to the left. Courtney Perkins is going to have to pull up on that, and that is a great example of how narrow the pitch is there. That ball just sped away from him in the blink of an eye. South Melbourne will have a throw down at right back.
It's a wonderful goal too there by Altona. A bit of individual skill out wide and lobbing the keeper. So Altona take the lead. Altona get back level.
Eager. Just a high clearance. Headed from Adams, combining with Elmazi. Eager. That pass to no one in particular. Freddie Say. Oh, that's a nice turn. And away goes South Melbourne. Yankovic pushing into midfield. And he tried to blaze a trail. Ball falls to Salados. Norton, we know what his left foot can do. Clark. And slide challenge puts the ball out for a throw. Yankovic, I suspect, is going to take up a more advanced position here. And Adams and Elmazi will remain the two defenders. Salados. Ooh, poked it straight to Port Melbourne players, but an unkind deflection. Here's Henry Hoare. Can he do it all himself? It's blocked away off the shins of Jackson Courtney Perkins.
Port Melbourne are really rocking at the back at the moment. Wave after wave of South Melbourne pressure.
Elmazi. Now Salados. Henry Hoare tried for the return pass, but Port Melbourne had Bombachi in the road. And they clear again. They're going to look up at the clock here, and they're going to see it's only at 81.5 minutes. This is already starting to feel like stoppage time sort of defending here. This could be a really intense last 10 minutes plus stoppage here for Port Melbourne if they are clinging on. Freddie Say. He turns the ball back to Adams.
That now makes it 249 goals for the season in NPL Victoria. There's 2 games on tonight, chasing the 250th.
Freddie Say, look at that burst of acceleration, goes past Edwards, lifts in across, almost the attempted overhead again. This time it was Salados' turn, and he curves the ball into the arms of Withers, who holds on.
And Zach Bates still trying to get his breath. He hit the ground pretty hard trying that overhead kick, and
so Jerry's had one that's gone into the arms of the keeper, one that's bent high and wide of the top right corner. Surely Port Melbourne don't let him get a third one away. And every decision now that goes Port Melbourne's way is vital to them, just to try and take the life out of this South Melbourne attack here at the end of the night. The throw in, almost rolling to the advantage of Duggan. Eventually the ball is cleared away. Courtney Perkins backtracking for Port Melbourne's cause. Bombachi. Intercept is made, and then Edwards with a fairly agricultural foul. He's going to get his name in the book, and I think he knew it was coming as well as he went and clattered Luke Pavlu there.
He's always second to try to get that with a sliding challenge, and only really going to be one result after he mistimed it.
South might be thinking back to their cup tie against the Melbourne Knights, where they didn't get the equaliser until the very last minute. So they're chasing the game here tonight. Of course, there won't be any extra time. All they would do is get a share of the points. Clark being held up by two markers. Freddie Say. Now the ball is whipped into the box and it falls in the 6-yard area. Not meaningful contact there. Off the head of Yankovic. And he seems to just be getting pushed further and further up the pitch here as South Melbourne chase this equaliser. Cleared away by Withers. Looks as though Port Melbourne are readying another sub over on the sidelines. Wouldn't be surprised if it's Lathan Dunn who they're going to bring on. Indeed it is. And he is going to replace Edwards, who, after getting that yellow card, obviously enough for Coach Piddock to say, we're not going to risk you getting a red, because we still need some bash and crash there in midfield.
He's quite a tidy player. He's done. He's scored a wonderful goal early in the season, coming off the bench as well. He's pretty good at holding the ball up. Plays a pretty decent pass. He's a good young player.
So he's on with the job to do as we tick up to the 85-minute mark now at Lakeside Stadium. Port Melbourne trying to take 3 points that would move them into the final 6 and very much put them in the discussion for a contending place at the pointy end of the season, which is something that hasn't really been associated with their name in their time in the NPL.
Especially if Port Melbourne get the 3 points here and Oakley drop points against Altona. That's a pretty disappointing result for the Cannons if that ends up happening. But it's such an open at the top half of this ladder in NPL Victoria that these little results do swing the ladder quite convincingly.
Tell you what, I think that for one night only, Knight and Hume would both be Altona supporters as well, given that battle for the top 6 is so tight at the moment. Salados. Can he launch here from deep? He's going to send it over to Say, who has had more and more of the ball since coming on. And again, that burst of acceleration. This time he's got company. Freddie Say, and he can't get clear. What a great sliding challenge and fantastic defensive application from Chris Kiusis over in that left-back corner for Port Melbourne.
Wonderful work there just to prevent the cross coming in. And it's really important that South Melbourne try to arrest this little form slump that they've had. That you have to go back to round 9 just with the lockdowns for their last NPL victory against Hume City at home.
Well, I was here that day, and to be honest, there's a fair old slice of luck involved in that one too. But they did win. That's what mattered. Salados is just roaming the pitch wherever he's needed at the moment. And that pass can't find the feet of a teammate. Adam Piddock encouraging from the sidelines. He's right up at the edge of his technical area, riding every pass at the moment. Norton underhit that one. Wellsmore comes through with the counter-attack. It's 3-on-3 if Port are quick enough and plays it through into space. This is Lathan Dunn. Fresh legs off the bench. Dunn cuts it back. Wellsmore to finish it. The go home! No! He skies it over the bar. And South Melbourne stay alive to fight for the last 3 minutes.
Now a few Port players are out of position, so South look to move quickly.
Great ball boy work to get them a pill in quick time, but they don't make the most of it.
There's wonderful work there by Dunn too to time his run perfectly, then play the perfect pass back to Wellsmore. But just didn't have the finish. We've seen a spectacular goal in this game, but both sides have really missed some opportunities they probably should have scored from.
It's a great point. We've seen some sitters go begging tonight. That would have been quite the full stop on the performance there to make the sub, and then the sub comes on and basically starts and finishes a move like that. Anyway, South Melbourne, they still have designs on sharing the points here. As that ball is sent out to the sideline. Esteban Quintas, his team, are they going to find a leveller here before time runs out? Kiusis got a boot in. Ball's allowed to bounce. Duggan, the goal scorer. Dunn, the substitute. Look at the pile-up of bodies in there. It's willing. Referee Johnny Barrero just lets them play. They just continue to hurl at each other. And neither team is giving any ground here. Norton, Salados. And he's unable to turn past Wellsmore, who's finishing this game strong. And Salados commits what He's a little lucky not to get booked for, you've got to say, with that challenge from behind. But Port Melbourne won't care about the card. What they will care about is the chance to wind seconds off the clock.
I thought Johnny Barrero's really had an excellent game, the man in the middle too. He's, that could have possibly been a yellow card, but
coming on, number 36,
I think he's been pretty spot on so far.
Replacing number 20, Zach Bates.
Sasha Murphy's on for Zach Bates, who looks a little proppy, and rather than wait for him to get treated or be assessed, they're just going to take him off. And on comes Sasha Murphy.
Another youngster that's come through this South Melbourne Youth Academy and found some first-team football this year.
Oh, it's going to break kindly here. This is Mells, and the slide challenge from El Mazi. Got his long legs out to the ball before Mells could dash into the penalty area. We're in the last minute of the 90. Fourth official is keeping us in suspense by preparing the board. How many minutes will South Melbourne get to keep chasing this game? Norton. Pavlu back to Norton. Now here's Murphy, the sub. Can he become an instant hero? It's headed away from the front post. Not clear just yet. Eager. Norton wants his left foot. Oh, he mishit it. Gave it straight to the defender. Right at the key moment. 3 additional minutes signalled by the fourth official. And so time is South Melbourne's enemy here. Salados just lifts it high. Bit of a cannon off a couple of heads in the penalty area. But Port Melbourne are first to respond. And Bombachi sinks the slipper to get it away. Now Freddie Say. It's just wave after wave of South Melbourne attack, and they'll have a free kick. Do they take it quickly or lift it into the box? Port Melbourne just trying to waste time by any means necessary here. Looks as though they are going to construct a set piece. This is what Adam Piddick and Port Melbourne would have trained for. Late game scenario, set piece in a dangerous area. Can the defence hold stern, or will South Melbourne draw level?
I was about to say, I don't know why Luke Adams would be taking that free kick. You'd think he'd be in the box for this.
Here comes the free kick then. First header is El Mazi's, and it's just a high moon ball, which with a little bit of awkwardness is eventually waved over and out for a goal kick by Withers.
Just the indecision with that. Luke Adams is like, everyone stepped away to go in the box and he was left to take it, and he didn't want to take it. Had to call his teammate to whip in the set piece. It probably would have been the first set piece he's ever taken in his life as Adams.
They've got to be clinical, South Melbourne. Every time the ball stops, every time it goes out, it is a chance for Port Melbourne just to put a little bit more pain on South and make them wait. Henry Hoare hits it high. Eager, positioning himself. Now cleared away. Sasha Murphy, he'll just take the throw in. Norton. Oh, asking a lot of Murphy. Couldn't get there for the return ball, and that is one of those instances of the ball going out and time not being South Melbourne's friend, and another substitution. It is the goal scorer. It may well end up being goal of the season. Chris Duggan will... He's very smart there. He can't be directed to leave at the nearest possible point if he's right in the middle of the centre circle. John Quall's the man coming on. He will do well to touch the ball.
John Quall, replacing number 7, Christopher Dugan.
So off comes Duggan, and on comes Quall for the briefest of cameos at the end of the night. Shouts for a high boot, not given. And that is clever from Pavlu. The ball is finding its way to his feet. Luke Pavlu still. Slide challenge, can't dispossess him. And eventually he ran out of space down at the byline and crashes into the ad boards. And Chris, you flagged that they are very close to the pitch, and indeed National Storage will be happy that Luke Pavlu's given them a free shout out here.
Yeah, I just think it's a bit ridiculous of how close they are. They are cardboard, but they are metal frames on them too. So you can easily go through the cardboard and hit the metal pretty quick.
Oh, a slip here from Withers. And now deflected off Pavlu. Can South Melbourne capitalise? It would be the latest of equalisers. They cannot. And Port Melbourne stake their claim as a potential NPL Victoria contender as they come to Lakeside and win 1-0. A goal memorable overhead, amazing from Chris Duggan. That's the difference between the teams. It was a goal worthy of winning any game. Chris Gleeson, your final analysis of this one.
Oh, what a fantastic game that was. Befitting of a bit of a local derby. I hope that everyone at home has really enjoyed this game. Duggan, well, both teams had great opportunities, but it was the spectacular one that Duggan took, and that separates the two sides. That sees the Sharks be undefeated in 6 games now, including 4 wins, with a strong defensive record of 5 clean sheets in that run. They are the hottest team in NPL Victoria, even with that month-long break, and well deserving of their victory.
Chris, you'll be back for night's trip away to Hume City tomorrow. I'll be back with Oscar Drew on Sunday for Heidelberg versus Green Gully. Yeah, Drewski. Join us for those. You can watch all NPL Victoria games on the YouTube channel and Facebook page. But that's it from Lakeside Stadium. On behalf of our broadcast partner, Sportscast Australia, and Chris Gleeson, my name is Teo Pellizzeri. Your full-time score, South Melbourne 0, Port Melbourne 1. Good night.